So welcome students. In this video we will be talking about the life cycle hypothesis. So as we know that the failure of the secular stagnation hypothesis and the findings of Kuznets were a puzzle to the economists, and the economists around the world wanted to know why Keynes's propositions did hold up well for short time series data but failed when the long time series were examined. In this direction, Franco Modigliani and his collaborators Albert Ando and Richard Bromberg, they used the Fisher's model of consumer behavior to solve the consumption puzzle. Modigliani emphasized that income varies systematically over people's lives and that savings allow consumers to move income from those times in life when income is high to those times when income is low. And this interpretation forms the basis of the life cycle hypothesis. One important reason that income varies over a person's life is the retirement. Most people, they work for a certain period of time and after that they stop working. However, after they stop working, they expect their income to fall. That is, after retirement, people expect their income to fall, but they do not want to drop their standard of living. That is, they want to maintain the same standard of living in the form of the consumption. So, to maintain the same consumption level or the same standard of living even after retirement, people must save during their working life. So let us see how people save and dissave throughout their life cycle using a diagram. So as you can see in this diagram, the horizontal axis represents time and the vertical axis represents consumption. This 0 is used to show the start of work life, and this R, it is used to show the retirement age. Also, this point here shows the end of life. As shown in the diagram, with the start of working life, the person also starts earning income, and he or she earns income up to R, that is up to the retirement age. But after retirement, his or her income is 0. As you can see here, after the age of retirement, the income becomes 0. However, one thing that is to be mentioned here is that with the start of working life, his or her wealth starts increasing. That is, he or she starts accumulating more and more wealth, and after a point, this wealth becomes maximum. Further, if we look at the consumption line, then this consumption line is more or less constant throughout. This shows that the person wants to maintain the same standard of living or the same consumption level throughout his or her life. And as such, the person saves a part of his income as well as collects or accumulates assets and wealth. At the end of the working life, that is after retirement, the person dissaves. That he or she uses the savings and the assets that he or she has saved during the work life to maintain the same standard of living or the same consumption level after retirement, such that at the end of life, his or her assets equal exactly 0. As you can see in this point, at the end of the life, his or her assets are exactly 0. Thus, according to the life cycle hypothesis, because people want to smooth consumption over their lives, the young who are working save, while the old who are retired dissave. Now, let us consider a consumer who expects to live another T years. Also, let us assume that his or her wealth is equal to W, and he or she expects to earn income equal to Y and retire R years from now. As such, the consumer's lifetime resources will be equal to the wealth he or she has plus his or her lifetime earnings. Now, lifetime earnings are nothing but the number of years from retirement multiplied by the income that he or she expects to earn. And it is to be mentioned here is that for simplicity, we are assuming an interest rate of 0. Because if we would have taken interest rate greater than 0, we would need to take into account the interest earned on savings as well. So for simplicity, we are taking interest rate as 0. Now, based on this, we can say that if the consumer expects to live another T years, then he or she will divide his lifetime resources over the number of years he expects to live from now. So, the consumption will depend upon the lifetime resources that the consumer has divided by the number of years he or she expects to live from now. So let us name this as equation 1. So we can rewrite this equation as C is equal to 1 by T into W plus R by T into Y. And let us take this as equation number 2. So this is what we have got from equation 2. Now let us take an example. Let the number of years that the consumer expects to live from now be 50 years and the number of years for retirement be 30 years. Therefore, we can calculate C as C is equal to 1 by 50 into W plus 30 by 50 into Y. So what we get is C is equal to 0.02 W plus 0.6 Y. Let us take this as equation number 3. Now what does this equation tell us? This equation tells us that an extra $1 increase of wealth will raise consumption by $0.02 per year. Similarly, an extra $1 of income per year will raise consumption by $0.6 per year. That is, this equation tells us that consumption, it depends upon both wealth and income. Now, take this as A and this value, we can take this as B. So from this, the consumption function stands at C is equal to A multiplied by W plus B multiplied by Y. And let us name this as equation number 4. Now here, A is considered as the marginal propensity to consume out of wealth because it shows the change in consumption due to change in wealth, and B is used to show the marginal propensity to consume out of income because it shows the change in consumption due to an extra unit change in income. So we get the consumption function as this. So let us now move forward with explaining the implications of the theory. As you can see in this figure, the relationship between consumption and income in terms of life cycle hypothesis. For an initial level of wealth, W, the consumption function looks exactly like the Keynesian consumption function. As you can see here, the intercept, this is our intercept. This intercept shows what will happen to consumption when income ever falls to 0. And this is exactly similar to that of the Keynesian theory. This is not constant like the Keynesian consumption function. As shown in this diagram, the intercept depends on the level of wealth. If the level of wealth increases, the consumption line will shift upward parallelly. And this is where the consumption function differs from that of the Keynesians. And this is the first implication of the theory. Now let us look at how the theory explains or solves the consumption puzzle. So earlier we have got the consumption function as C is equal to AW plus BY. Now, if we calculate APC, APC is nothing but C by Y, which is A by W plus BY divided by Y. So we can further rewrite this as A multiplied by W by Y plus B multiplied by Y by Y. So this Y and this Y gets cancelled. What we are left with is APC is equal to A multiplied by W by Y plus B. So this is what we are left with. And let us name this as equation number 5. Now let us take an imaginary example. But before moving into the example, let us take these two values as constant. Therefore, APC depends on W by Y. Now let us suppose that our initial APC is calculated with income 20 and wealth 20. So we get APC is equal to 1. Let us first take the case of short run. So in the short run, we know that with increase in income, the wealth may not increase. So suppose in the short run, our income has increased from 20 to 40. But it may not be possible to increase the wealth instantly in the short run. So if with increase in income, in short run, the wealth doesn't increase. So the APC falls from 1 to 0.5. This proves the consumption puzzle's first proposition that in the short run, with increase in income, when income increases, APC falls. Now let us take the case of long run. So in long run, we know that with increase in the income, wealth can increase because we have a longer time period. So suppose with increase in income from 20 to 40, wealth also increases from 20 to 40. As such, our APC remains constant. This also proves the second proposition of Kuznets' consumption puzzle. Thus, we can say that because wealth does not vary proportionately with income from person to person or from year to year, we should find that high income corresponds to a low average propensity to consume when looking at data across individuals or over a short period of time. But over the long period of time, wealth and income grow together, resulting in a constant ratio of wealth by income, and thus a constant average propensity to consume. And this is how Modigliani has tried to resolve the consumption puzzle. However, one thing is to be mentioned here that soon after the hypothesis was put forward by Modigliani, many economists have studied the consumption and savings relationship of the elderly people, and they have found that the elderly people, they do not save as much the model predicts them to do, because there are two reasons for this. First is the precautionary savings. The elderly people are concerned about unpredictable expenses. One reason for the precautionary savings by the elderly is the possibility of living longer than they have expected to live, and thus having to provide for a longer than average span of retirement. Another reason is that the possibility of illness and large medical bills. These are the reasons why the elderly people, they save more in order to be best prepared for emergencies. The second reason, or the second explanation for failure of the elderly people to save, is that they want to leave back their wealth for their children. So this is how we can explain the life cycle hypothesis. The text used in this video has been taken from the suggested reading given here. For further details, you can go through the suggested reading. Thank you.